Hi, I'm Derek Ashong. You are now on the stream. We are a social media community with our own daily TV show on Al Jazeera English. As always, we bring you stories that are ongoing, global, and we source them from social media. Today, Tunisia's revolution 6 months on. Is the country on the right course? And Egyptian Revolution 2.0. We look at why protesters have returned to Tahrir Square. Our digital producer, Ahmed Shihab Al-Din, is here with your feedback. We've also got joining us on the couch, Ramesh Srinivasan. Once again, he's an assistant professor of design and media and information studies at the University of California in Los Angeles. Ramesh, we know you just got back from Egypt and the Middle East, looking at some of these issues.
Less than a week ago.
Less than a week ago. So this is fresh on your mind. We're really glad to have you here. We're going to be talking about Tunisia and Egypt, and we're glad to get your insights on this.
Great to be back with you guys.
Absolutely. We also want to know what stories you're following, so definitely pitch your ideas to us. Use a brief video and tweet it with the hashtag AJStream.
My name is Fashim, I am from Iraq and I am in the stream.
It's been 6 months since former Tunisian President Zine al-Abidine Ben Ali stepped down from office. But has the revolution lost its momentum? Elections have been delayed until October, and some political parties have withdrawn from the country's reform commission. Online, some Tunisians are still optimistic, while others question the government's ability to run the country's first free and fair elections. Let's take a look at some of the comments that people have been making online. Let's take a look first at Global Voices. This is Global Voices Online has basically done some translation, and if you'll take a look here, we see this first person at Einstein says, "Oh, if I finally found my identification card. Tomorrow morning I will register for the election." There's some excitement there. Another excited party at Miro404 says, "For the first time in my life, I'm going to vote. This afternoon I will register in my consulate." But Global Voices has also translated some voices that are not so excited. At Hussein says, "I wonder how they intend to register potentially 7 million voters in 3 weeks. Mission impossible." And we're hearing from @Oops, who says that they can all dream. "In my opinion, the election will take place in 2012. Here to give us some more insight on these issues is Malik Kadrawi. He's the co-administrator of the blog collective Nawat.org, and he's joining us via Skype from Tunis. Malik, welcome to the stream. We understand that elections have been postponed. Is this a good thing, or does this indicate a slackening of the resolve of the revolution?
No, I think it's a real good thing, because it's the first time that maybe Tunisian has such interest in electoral process. As you know, during the era of Ben Ali's regime, every 5 years there was an election in Tunisia, but nobody believes in this kind of election. So for the first time, Tunisians are really kind of optimistic about what's going to happen, and a little bit excited about this new process, a new era in political scene in Tunisia. So generally, I think it's a good thing. Now there is a lot of problems, problems with registration. The number of maybe the 3 weeks, some people said is not going to be enough for Tunisian to get registered, but I think everybody's trying to do his best, and the Commission of the Elections knows that the people are waiting so much from them. So I hope that they're gonna be on the level of the expectations.
Now, we understand that there is a newly legalized Islamist party, Ennahda, that is doing very well in the polls. How do people feel about that?
There is different kind of reactions and feelings. You know, the the politic Islam in Tunisia was forbidden in Tunisia since the 19th, and there is like a bad image about political Islam in Tunisia and Islamists in general. So people are a little bit afraid about this new political party in the politics scene in Tunisia. Other people are happy about this. the people who are going to vote maybe for them, and they argued that it's the real face of the Tunisian political scene, and we can't maybe run election without this political party. And then, on the other hand, the Ennahda is not the only Islamic force in Tunisia. There is Ennahda, it's legal, but there is other political organization who didn't receive the agreement to be a party, and they are maybe more extremist than Ennahda itself.
Malik, I just want to quickly ask about the Nahda party. A lot of people say they're behind the most recent calls for the sit-in at the Kasbah. This is the third call on Friday, tomorrow, I believe. So, you know, a lot of people feel this is now a divisive issue, saying that the calls for the sit-in are bad for the economy. And people online are saying that simply, Tunisian is saying they're not prepared to have elections or to have these sit-ins. What would you say?
I think that Ennahda and other political parties tried from the beginning to be part of this kind of demonstration in Qasba 1 and 2, especially in Qasba 2. Ennahda plays a role on financing some logistic assistance to the protesters. But I think that the organizers of this event are aware about this kind of recuperation problems or issues. Nahda and other political parties, not only Nahda, they will try to be part of this demonstration. But I don't think that they are really behind this movement. I have a lot of friends who are part of this organization, and I don't think that they are from manipulated or from the Nahda. They have to be careful about such manipulation, but I don't think that Nahda is behind.
Now, let me ask you a question, Malik. We know that your website, nawat.org, has been having there's been significant communication there, discussion about the case of Samir Faiez, and I've got a picture of him on my screen. I also want to quote something from Global Voices Online, where they're saying that Samir Faiez, a former senior official in Tunisia's Interior Ministry, has been detained since May 29th, and that he was arrested after publishing 2 letters in the magazine Al-Khabir, where he claimed that people holding key positions in the Interior Ministry were responsible for the killing of peaceful protesters during the Tunisian revolution. Now, we've seen a lot of people become quite activated around this. I'm actually showing a little bit of a clip from a video where people are protesting and they're holding big signs with his poster. Talk to us a little bit about the case of Faiez, and do people expect he will be released, and is this a significant source of discussion in the community?
Yeah, sure. The case of Faiez is very significant because this is the first time maybe when someone from the Ministry of Interior tried to talk about the responsible of shooting the people and responsible of the killing of hundreds of people in Tunisia. The government say there is no snipers during the revolution, and the trials are really inexistent, and people are waiting for justice about the people who killed the Tunisian, the innocent people. So Faiez, maybe it was the one who put a name on what everybody is saying on the street, that the responsible of this shooting are still in the Ministry of Interior and still in power right now in Tunisia. And this is not really, it's not completely untrue.
So Malik, I actually wanted to pick up on the larger situation there than in Tunisia, especially with respect to this issue of elections that are coming forward, right? So many folks out there have told me, you know, in conversations I've had, that postponing the elections is a good thing because it allows these different political parties to organize themselves and debate and have dialogues and build consensus and coalitions and so on and so forth. Is that your sense? And how do you think, if at all, does social media contribute to that emerging democratic dialogue that you all are hoping for?
Yeah, the social media and it's kind of it's still making pressure on the decision maker, on political parties, to be at the level of this new challenge in Tunisia. In any way, even if the election wouldn't be perfect as maybe democratic country standards, the change on the mind of the people in Tunisia, the change of the conscience, the political conscience of the people, of the young generation, is maybe the most important thing after this revolution. And now the situation can't change or can't go forward as before the 14th of January. So even if the organization of this upcoming elections wouldn't be perfect, I think that there is like a new kind of approach about the political problem in Tunisia, and like a new conscience of the new generation. So I'm a little bit optimistic. I try to be optimistic, even if we have to keep the pressure on all the decision makers and all the new commissions who deal with this transition period.
Thank you, Malik, very much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ahmed.
Just wanted to say, he talked about keeping the pressure on the politicians, but Bassem Bouguera is saying keeping the pressure on the police is important. He says as long as there's no revolution within the police, we can't talk about a revolution in Tunisia.
Well, that is a great way to leave this conversation. Remember, you can read more about this story on our website, stream.aljazeera.com. You'll find more pictures, you find commentary, and you're going to see at least some of the videos that we've shown you right there on the specific Tunisia case.
A photograph of a homeless man holding a piece of bread, as though it were a gun, became a symbol of the revolution against Ben Ali's government in Tunisia. But since then, he's transformed into an online superhero with a huge following on Facebook and YouTube. Now, this is the tweet that alerted us to the photo and reminded us, Yasmin Halawi, saying, remember this picture. There it is. You see the man right here holding the bread. And this is the cartoon figure he has inspired. Now it's known as Captain Khubza, which in Arabic literally translates to Captain Bread in English. And the movement began with a series of short videos, as you can see here, that have been shared on Facebook and YouTube. And the videos often are about political parties and kind of taking jabs at them. This one video is one that we're going to play for you. Now, they're happening under a general banner called Banner Khubz Siyasi, which means political bread. And that's, an allusion to the fact that Ben Ali used to make small concessions where he'd give bread or coke or insignificant things to win the votes in the elections. Now, this video, let me just play it very briefly. We're going to not listen to what they're saying, but it's a clip that addresses the controversial use of snipers to target protesters during the actual revolution by Ben Ali's government. Of course, they deny that the practice took place, but as you can see here, the first sniper is making a bet with the other one to see whether he can shoot these protesters in the hair, right in the, kind of the midline of their hair, and the other sniper is saying, I don't like bets. Bets are forbidden, it's haram. So it's questioning their morals, essentially, and taking a small jab at that. But this is just one of several videos and one of several stories that have actually been shared with us. To tell us more stories that you care about and what hashtags you're following, send us a tweet with the hashtag AJStream. But here are some that we've already been keeping an eye on.
Egyptians have returned to Tahrir Square. This time, protesters are aiming their anger at the ruling military council. And since July 8th, news of sit-in demonstrations in Cairo and other cities have been dominating Egyptian social media networks. Protesters say they will not leave until the military council meets their demands. Online, we can see the people's dissatisfaction with the military council. The Facebook page of Deputy Defense Minister Mohsen Al-Fangari was reportedly taken down due to intimidation online. A new page has now been started. Take a look at this particular site. This page says, "We will not be intimidated, Al-Fangari." Not only do you have this, in Tahrir Square, people are still actively protesting. A lot of people do not seem to be afraid at all, as you can see from this. Now, here with us from Cairo today is Egyptian activist Gigi Ibrahim. Her blog is called Tahrir and Beyond, and she's better known by her Twitter handle G_86. Gigi, welcome to the stream. We were just having a conversation about Tunisia, where elections have been postponed till October. We understand that parliamentary elections are now being postponed till November in Egypt. How do people feel about this?
They were planned, I think, for September, so from September to November is not much of a difference. The argument for postponing the election further is the only argument for it is to have to make more time for the parties to be established and so on. But I think the major concern for most people is to have the demands met, whether with the elections or before the elections. They want them met yesterday.
What specific demands are the current protesters looking to have met?
Excuse me?
What specific demands are current protesters looking to have met?
Mostly for the prosecution, the transparent prosecution of all the corrupt regime, under Mubarak, starting with Mubarak himself, including all the policemen that engaged in in the killings of martyrs. They're also demanding the minimum wage that still hasn't been met. We were given like a 700 LE and not the 1,200, which is now 1,500. There's still emergency law still in place. There's a need to end military trials for civilians. These are the main demands that everybody's agreeing on, in addition to some partial demands that have to do with certain cities and so on.
So Gigi, this is Ramesh here. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, and I noticed when I was out in Egypt speaking with you and other people, when I was speaking to some of the labor organizers and so on, they were basically voicing concerns that the poorer and the peoples in rural Egypt were having that were mainly economic. So they were about these issues like minimum wage and so on. Do you think that those sorts of issues, those kind of primarily economic issues, are getting enough weight with the protests in Tahrir? And do you think the SCAF is at all paying attention to that? And how could that happen? How could you make those types of economic changes actually happen?
Actually, it's all linked because mostly the people who carried out this revolution, the martyrs that have died in this revolution, are mostly from the urban poor, are those people who were unemployed, are those people who are their families now don't have, the person who used to spend, and have a job and be the breadwinner, gone. So it's all interlinked. Definitely, even the political demands are stemming from socioeconomic issues. We need justice and social equality, and these are demands that could be implemented, like the minimum wage, for example, could be implemented by setting a maximum wage, like a wage gap in the public sector, and then you can distribute this money, and raise the minimum wage. Why hasn't it happened? That's the concern that most people are having, is the lack of political will is creating this anger and frustration, and really showing that the SCAF or the current government is not capable of fulfilling these demands, or they're not willing to do it.
Gigi, we've seen in recent months that on social media there's been a vibrant discussion about the role of political Islam and the role of Islam in in religion, and all kinds of discussions. And now we're starting to see civic engagement, and these conversations go from online to the actual streets. I want to ask you very briefly about the tweet Nedwa. I don't know if you've attended them. Maybe you can share it with us, because we're seeing lots of tweets of a tweet Nedwa actually taking place right now in Tahrir Square, where people are gathering to, in 140 seconds, mimicking the 140 characters online, discuss quite relevant issues. Do you think that that's a powerful tool in paving a way for the future?
I've seen you in the front rows of those, Gigi.
No, I have attended a lot of the tweet nadwas, and they're a great initiative in opening the dialogue, in expressing our views, in getting our our ideas shared and so on, and they focus on certain issues. So every tweet nadwa has a certain topic. One is the state police and how can we reform it, or like human rights, or the roots of the revolution. And I feel like they open the opportunity for a public dialogue, aside from the traditional way of like TV or so on. This is a way of where we can bring in even people abroad into the discussion through the use of Twitter and so on. But at the end, it's just a means of communication that it needs to have action in the other hand of it, in making those ideas come to life, and that's not going to happen until we actually take initiatives into the real world and start acting on them. And that's actually the aim of the tweet nadwa, is that someone will bring an idea, and out of this the attraction of tweet nadwa, then it will make it happen in the real world.
Gigi, let me ask you a question about the real world. Some have said that these ongoing demonstrations are actually harming the economy of Egypt. You mentioned yourself some of the economic challenges facing the people. How do you respond to those allegations?
The economy hasn't been great even under Mubarak regime. I mean, you can't possibly say that the revolution alone has contributed to the economic deterioration. And this is why fast reforms and fast implementation of justice needs to happen now, so people can actually, start having better life economically.
Why do you think justice has been delayed?
That is a great question. That's what everybody is asking, and this is why there is no trust between the people and those in power now. Whether it be the SCAF or the government, is that because their demands that they promised, that the SCAF promised will fulfill, haven't been fulfilled, and actually all the signs are showing quite the opposite. The delay and the lack of transparency is making people not trust into government, which is basically what we had under Mubarak. So nothing has changed. We removed the taboo from Mubarak to the SCAF, and it's the same old story, but with military trials for civilians, and now that you're facing the Supreme Council and not just Mubarak.
Gigi, you're talking. Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but you're talking about the economic situation and the trials. We have a tweet from Hafsa Halawa saying, minimum wage is unrealistic and unattainable with the current economic climate, and that the main demand should still be military rule and them being held accountable. Just very briefly, Egypt for many years has received a large amount of economic aid from the US. Do you just quickly think that that is something that is going to be important moving forward, or not?
Absolutely not. This money, we have no idea where it goes. Well, we know it goes to the army mostly. Most of this money goes to the army. And, in the past few years where the companies, public sector companies, have been privatized under the Mubarak, privatization policies that have hurt the economy tremendously. I was just at one of the court cases where they were asking to return these privatized companies to the public sectors. And I was hearing horror stories of corruption, of thousands and millions of Egyptian pounds that were stolen in these so-called privatization process. If we stop those, if we bring back the public sector, if we have a strong economy, we strengthen our economy in the industries that we were #1 at, like for example the Ghazl Jbin, textiling exporting company. Why haven't these cases been settled and returned back? That is the question. This is the labor force that will build the economy, not tourism, not foreign aid. And this foreign aid and this, focusing on just simply building your country's economy on tourism solely is not an efficient way. I want to interrupt
you there because unfortunately we're out of time, but we have a few more questions for you. And I know Ramesh has been on the ground in Egypt. He wants to pose some points to you. So we're going to ask you to stay to our post show. Ramesh, it's great having you here. Ahmed, you as well. And you, our audience, thanks for being with us. We're going to continue this conversation with Gigi in our post show at stream.aljazeera.com. Remember, on Monday, you can join us in the pre-show at 1925 right here at stream.aljazeera.com. Tweet us using #AJStream. We will see you online.